Hello everyone and welcome back to another episode of the Pokemon Center vlog with me, Ninjas96. This isn't the Pokemon, this is Smash, but I decided I would be playing this in the background while I chat to you about some of the things. And Terry just came out, so I'm going to do his classic mode and then just do a bunch of Pokemon related stuff while I chat. So how did you enjoy it? Watching my experience, because well, our experience, I suppose. So it was very much shared with the other two and everyone else in the queue. I don't know this guy's moveset, by the way. So yeah, how did you think about it? Did you enjoy the vlog format, or would you rather I did it a different way? Let me know in the comments section below. Now, one thing I do want to address, which I feel like I addressed in the last episode right at the end, but I know that the amount of time spent in the actual center is like maybe 1/10 of the vlog, right? I know, but the fact is, it was also about 1/10 of the experience that we had as well. It wasn't like we'd just nipped there, and the travelling and the waiting in the line was just a small bit of the adventure. That was the vast majority of it. I mean, even if you take from when we left the hotel room to start queuing, we were in the Pokemon Center for about an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours. Out of the like 10 hours we were actually queuing. So, I understand if you're frustrated or dislike the fact that I didn't actually do much focus on the Pokemon Center itself. That's just sort of representative of our experience, and I thought it was important to maintain that and sort of mention that at the start of the video. So one thing I wanted to talk about in today's episode, and I have spoken to the other two, and we've sort of chatted about our thoughts, but I wanted to leave it some time to settle before I actually did the discussion, and we've just not found a good time to be around, so I'm just going for it, man. Ow. Yeah, so the queue. The queue was tough. I know it doesn't sound it sitting down for exactly the hours when I would be sleeping otherwise, but it was really hard. I think one thing I didn't realise was until watching the footage back, I didn't realise how each of the three of us dealt with it, because certainly from my perspective, I think I peaked really early after about the 1 or 2 hour mark. It started raining, that's what really got me, and after that I was very irritable and argumentative, but still lots of energy. So I think I used a lot of energy in being upset and complaining, which, for those of you who know me, I think is pretty accurate. And then after that, for most of the rest of it, I was pretty much fine. I think for the rest of it, I was kind of there to bring it all together and stop it from becoming chaos. And then Charlotte had a nap in the hotel before we started queuing, which I definitely think helped her a lot. But then, she peaked about halfway through the outside bit, where again, after it had rained, she just went, "Oh, I need to go to sleep now." And she watched the podcast and just sort of quietly, it got to her quietly. So I think she had a lot less energy than us two did, which meant that after we got inside, she was basically fine the rest of it. And then poor Dan, bless him. I feel so bad. So again, he was quite agitated like me and energetic when in the first 3 or 4 hours, and then bless him, he crashed. He crashed hard. The clip. I think I did a clip with like 10 minutes until we're allowed inside. So this would have been about 20 to 5, I guess, or I guess 10 to 5. and I did the clip, and Dan's just sat on a bench with his head down. That's not him falling asleep. That's him genuinely contemplating his life. And then yeah, we got inside, and he wasn't much good to anyone for a bit, and he fell asleep and was asleep for pretty much the rest of the night until about I would say 8 or 9 o'clock when he woke up and was like a normal day again. So yeah, it was. I didn't quite realise how differently we each approached things and the effects that had until I rewatched the footage. So you will have seen that firsthand. But you know, the reality of it is, it was really difficult. And there were highs. I certainly, for the last couple of hours, what really kept me going was every single time, because we could see the front of the queue, and so we could see people coming in, and people coming in and thinking that we were like towards the end of the queue, so they would join just in front of us. And the guy was like, no, you need to go to the back. And they were like, oh, how far back is the back? I went, it's a long way back. Keep walking. In fact, you're probably better off going outside and round and seeing every single time someone thought, ooh, the queue's not that long. And then them realising that really kept me going in a sort of narcissistic, awful, I'm a bad human being kind of way. And there was some other things as well. There was a couple sat behind us in the queue who we were just sort of chatting with them, and I don't know where that train of thought was going, but you know, that was one of the things that certainly Dan specifically mentioned, was that we kind of expected it to be a bit of a party, like an all-nighter Pokemon Fest. Like he specifically brought Pokemon Sun and Moon, expecting there to be people playing it in the queue, and that just was not the case. I think everyone there was hunkered down for the long night, which we were kind of discussing, wondering whether we would have found it easier if we'd done the whole party all night aspect, or whether we were better off committing to the hunker down for the night approach that we took. But I think we agreed that we would have just crashed a lot earlier and a lot harder if we'd tried to be all energetic the whole time and playing stuff. Another kind of wall, I guess, we faced was the staff. The staff of what was it called? Westfield Shopping Centre were awful. They were so rude and like demoralising. They didn't really understand what was going on, and certainly in the latter half, they did not know what they were doing. Well, all right. Let's go with they didn't give the impression they knew what they were doing. Given that we'd, you know, it had been 3 weeks. It had been open for 3 weeks, and certainly from the impression we got from Twitter, that was like a normal night for them. It was such a shambles operation, which is part of what kind of made us stress towards the middle of the queuing experience, was the fact that they just had no idea what they were doing. It was like I can understand it for opening night and, you know, the first week or so getting used to it, but by now they should just know what they're doing and what to expect. But they didn't, and that was super annoying. One of them, he was actually a really nice guy, but he'd like taken over the shift at about 6 or 7 o'clock in the morning, and he was chatting to us, which none of the other guards did, by the way. We constantly made reference to the fact it felt like a prison. We were all like sat down, most of us were asleep. In fact, there were points where Dan had a scarf over his eyes so it was dark, so he could sleep better. But it felt so much like a prison. Anyway, this one guy who stood at the front of the queue, and we were sort of chatting to us, and he said, "So, what are you queuing for? What's the big deal?" And the guys were like, "Oh, it's the Pokemon Center." I was like, "What? Well, so, why are you queuing all night? How long have you been queuing then? Like a couple of hours?" And we were like, "Yeah, about 9 hours at this point." And he was properly blown away. Like, "Wow, that's mad. Why are you doing it?" Which I thought was great. I thought, you've been told to work and organise this, but you don't even know what it is or why people are doing it. which I thought was mad. But that said, the staff inside the Pokemon Center were amazing. There was one lady who took a bunch of photos, which I might make the thumbnail, but I'm definitely not going to edit this. Yeah, she took a photo of us just because we asked her to. And where's the Pokemon Stadium? Quite early, wasn't it? Sorry, I can't actually think and talk at the same time. There you go. Yeah, we were walking around the sort of Sword and Shieldy bit and talking, and she was just chatting about who our favourite starters were and what we're excited about in Sword and Shield, and I just thought, you know what, that's amazing. That's so good that this member of staff who's gonna have to, like, working all day. Oh, I should have made my opponent a Pokemon as well. Working all day, and she's still super excited. And we're actually talking to one of the staff at the checkout as well. And I said, "So, you work at the Pokemon Center? How does that happen?" And he said, "You know, it's a bit weird. I work for an agency, and they just said, oh, we're opening this. We're looking for this kind of person, and we just applied, and we were referred, and that's it." So yeah, that was kind of interesting to learn. I want to sign my stuff up. What are you doing? Jesus. That was kind of interesting to learn. And yeah, we talked about some of the regrets we had, mostly related to queuing, because obviously that's the hardest bit of it. We definitely didn't plan it properly whatsoever. We kind of because we were expecting it to be a bit more active and party-like, we thought we would need loads of entertainment to pass the time. So we brought Switches, we brought... what else did we do? Oh, we were planning on doing like a Pokemon Go kind of eventy thing. Didn't happen. And we actually deliberately didn't play the Switch in the hotel room or anything like that, because we thought, oh, we might need that in the queue. So yeah, in hindsight, that was a big mistake. But I think if it had been the other way around, if we had needed, or like if we needed it and didn't, what am I saying? If we'd needed to play it in the queue, and we'd already kind of burnt out on it earlier in the evening, we'd have been really miserable with that. So, you know, I don't think it's a regret per se. I don't think I would change it, but definitely in hindsight it's kind of interesting. And the food situation, we well over budgeted on the food. We thought that it was going to be really difficult, and to be fair, we did eat a decent amount and drink as well. We drank plenty, which was useful. But yeah, we just carried on. We bought way more than we needed. But again, I'd rather have bought more than we needed than not enough, you know. Who should we play? Let's play Pichu against Incineroar. And higher than level 3, please. Oh no, better idea. I'll play actual Greninja against Incineroar because I'm used to that. And also, we should have thought about seats. We were told we weren't allowed to bring seats, but we really should have brought like a camping mat or something, because we were so cold and wet. Luckily, we were quite warm. I know it's kind of illogical. I mean, like where we were sat down, we were cold, but like my head and my body bits were actually quite warm. So I'm glad that I went ham. I had hat, scarf, then t-shirt, like woolly cardigan, and then woolly cardigan, and then coat and gloves. So yeah, I definitely wasn't getting cold. And like Charlotte had a blanket on, which was really good. But yeah, seating wise, we really should have thought about it. But you know, we'll live and learn. Next time we queue up all night for something like that, we'll know exactly what we're doing. This Incineroar, by the way, is much better than Dan playing Incineroar. Don't at me. Oh no, I did that wrong. So now I'm going to move on from the queue now. I think we've spoken about the queue as much as we need to. Please die, Incineroar. Ow. Let's move on to talk about the London mascot, because oh my days, that was the best thing that happened to me. And it's kind of weird because it's not even so. I didn't think about it until I actually saw it come out of the Pokemon Center, and I thought, oh my days, there's a mascot. I've never seen a mascot Pikachu, and one of my favorite videos is when all the mascot Pikachus come out at, is it football stadium? Something, and they just start dancing. That's amazing. And it came over and gave me a hug, which, yeah, Dan was like, I can't believe it came straight over to you. Yeah, it's because I was holding camera up, mate. Kind of had to. So, yeah. But it was still magical. And magical is actually the word I would use to describe the whole Pokemon Center. Something that really, really, I guess, influenced me, affected me, was there was a little kid in there, and he'd been queuing up all night, just like us. And he got in, and he found a Charizard plush, and like his face lit up, and he was running around with this Charizard plush, going, "Look, look! I've got a Charizard! I finally got a Charizard!" And that was pretty wicked, and I think I mentioned in one of the clips, but that kid was what I felt like inside. And yeah, the general atmosphere of the Pokemon Center was really good, considering everyone there had been queuing up for at least 10 hours. Like, by the time we actually got in and all that, at least 10 hours. The mood was really good. No one was like, oh, we queued up for this. Everyone there was just hype, just pure hype. There were people walking around with baskets full of, like, they just picked up a Wailord plush, and that was like their whole basket full up. So that was pretty cool to see. And the layout, actually, we were kind of surprised by how small it was. I don't know why, because I know how big the plot is generally, but I expect it to be much bigger from the footage that we'd seen. Bigger in terms of floor space. I think there was exactly as much stuff in there as I expected to see, but floor space wise, I think the pictures are quite deceiving. But there's Pikachu artwork all over the walls. There's Pokemon music playing. Actually, Dan has a fun story. He was walking around. I think we were looking for our fourth item, or he was looking for an item, and he just wanted to check, the other room just to see if we'd missed anything. And he walked around the corner, and the gym battle music, the that music started playing, and he like locked eyes with another person, and they stood there like, should we battle now? I feel like we have to battle now. That was quite nice, and the actual Pokemon Center music was playing as well, which is again something we probably should have been able to. This guy's got better since I killed him. Yeah, probably should have been clocked it, but apparently we didn't. Ow! Ow! Stop it! I'm not actually that great with any of the Pokemon, I should say. And the stock as well. I know the stock levels is kind of a controversial issue, and I'll get on to talking about that in another section. But stock, like the shelves were all full, and they were like jumbo plush of Mimikyu, Wailord, and what was the other one? Mimikyu, Wailord, probably Snorlax, but I don't actually remember. Let's not have you level 9, let's have you level 6. Yeah, like those shelves were empty, and the staff were constantly putting more stock on the shelves, and it was kind of a cool thing to see. And yeah, the fact that that moves, doesn't it? The fact that the stocks were shelves were always stocked, kind of made it feel more real, like an actual experience, rather than. I think if you went in there towards the end of the day and all the shelves were empty, that would have really been depressing. Even if you still got exactly the 5 items you wanted, I think it would have been depressing to see the empty shelves. Whereas we got pretty much the perfect experience in that regard. Is there anything else I would like to talk about the centre itself? I don't think so. So we'll move on. I'm kind of side glancing at my notes between punches. We'll move on to something that was a bit of a souring experience, but it was for the whole day, not for the whole lead up. The planning for since the centre opened was I've got written down Poke Hoarder ethics, and the queuing and the Twitter. I know it's helpful to see what's in stock and what isn't, but it's also really demoralising when at 10 o'clock we were in the queue, or we were maybe 50 people back in the queue, and while we were stood in the queue still waiting to get in, we got a tweet saying the London pins are now sold out. Like, that is pure demoralising, especially if you're further back in the queue, because you'll get them a bit more frequently. And what we saw, and if this was you, or you are someone who does this, I don't actually know what your motivations were. You know, for all we know, you own an orphanage, and you are going and giving presents to orphans. Right? So just bear that in mind while I'm ranting. But the very first people who went in, I actually quite liked Lucario. They went into the shop at 10 o'clock when it opened. They spent 8 minutes in the shop. There was a group of, I think, 6 of them. They went in, 8 minutes in the shop, and they walked out again. Each one of them had a bag full of stuff, and the first thing they did was they went down a tick list and went, right, how many of these do we have? How many of these? And we all just, it stank of, you're selling those. You've got like an inventory list, and people have asked you to go in and buy stuff, because they were not in there for the experience. They were, like, it was really obvious that they just didn't care about the actual Pokemon Center. In fact, Mascot Pikachu walked straight past them, and a couple of them were quite young, certainly early teens. Walked straight past them, and they didn't even react. They saw it and went, oh, okay. Didn't even react. Which, you know, potentially is my own biases in play there, given that it was really important to me. But surely, if you're a little kid and you've queued up all night to visit the Pokemon Center, the Pikachu mascot is going to be at least slightly important to you. But no, made absolutely no remark, which, like, the 3 of us instantly thought, well, you've just bought 6 pins of the maybe 30 that were in stock, and you're going to go sell them online for 2 or 3 times the price, which is what we kind of thought for the whole trip, actually, or the whole planning, was we were seeing on eBay people relist them, and just thought, oh, that's so sleazy. And we actually decided it wasn't actually worth it anyway, because unless you wanted exactly 4 items and you thought, oh, I'll buy a 5th just that I can sell to make some of my money back, that's fair enough. But if you're the kind of person who goes there to buy 6 London Pikachu pins to then sell them for 100 quid each, I don't actually think you're making any money. You're spending a lot of time to make not a lot of money, or a relatively small amount of money to the amount of time you're spending, if you see what I mean. And the other part of that is that then they were walking around the shopping centre about 10 past 10 with bags full of stuff, and they walked. This is me exaggerating here because I didn't see them beyond when we were in the, like, by the time you get my point. This is me exaggerating, but they would have walked all the way down the queue to get back to the car park, right? So every single person in the queue, every single one of the 1,000, I don't know, we were like within the first 50, and that was we got in within an hour. So a lot. Alright, we'll just say a lot. Every single one of those people will have seen them all go, oh, we can make lots of money off of this, walking down the queue with their bags. And these people, like 3-4 hours into the queue, are desperate because they really want to see that Pikachu mascot, and they really want to experience the Pokemon Center, and they really want that Pikachu mascot plush. But they're not going to get it because these people have decided they're going to try and make money off of it, which I personally think is really sad. But similarly, as we were leaving the Pokemon Center, we actually saw the Eevee mascot as well. I think I got a photo, but not any video footage, because the Eevee was like leaving as we were, or yeah, going back inside when we were coming out. But what was I saying? Yeah, there was this guy, and unfortunately it was a common story where their 6-year-old kid really, like, all they wanted was to go into the Pokemon Center so they can buy anything. As the kind of people who wouldn't even be that interested in the London merch, they'd be interested in buying the Detective Pikachu hat because they've just seen the film, if you see what I mean. Again, not trying to stereotype, I'm just using it as a vehicle to portray my point. And this guy was arguing with the security staff, saying, no, she's not coming in because she hasn't queued up. And he was going, but she's a little girl and she'll be devastated if she can't go in. And the security guys, you know, fair play, I can see both sides of this, and I don't actually know where I stand. But if I'd been the first in line in the queue, and then at say 12 o'clock, and I'm about to go in, and instead this random little girl is stood in front of me and says, but I want to go in. She goes in, she gets the plush. It's not fair then, because I've spent loads of time waiting and she hasn't. But there was a lot of disappointed kids, and I think that's more a problem of the way the Pokemon Center handled it. And again, I don't actually know where the root of that problem is, but I think it's somewhere down to the way the Pokemon Center handled it. The whole situation was that a lot of kids were disappointed, and the people who got into the centre were the ones who were willing to queue up for ages, and not necessarily the ones who aren't able to. They had an accessibility queue, but accessibility was like literally additional needs. It wasn't people who thought they deserved it more than others. Yeah, a bit of a ethical query we had. If, in fact, this is my comments section question for you. Who do you think is right? Do you think me queuing up all night to then buy the last Pokemon City London Pokemon plush is correct, or do you think I'm a horrible person for literally stealing that plush from the hands of a little girl who just wants one little plush? Because I'm genuinely curious as to what people think about that. So yeah, let me know in the comment section below. Who do you think is in the right? I've already kind of talked about the loot summary. I sort of chucked that in at the end of the last one. But again, I refuse to use my umbrella because I'm worried that it'll get broken, because where I live is very, very, very stormy at the moment. So I'm kind of worried that if I take it out of the house it'll break, which is exactly what I thought would happen, but I'm still glad I got it. And Greninja is still my favourite purchase. Even though I really like the London merch itself, Greninja is by far my favourite purchase. Is there anything else? Ooh. yeah, the only other thing is the Pokemon Sword and Shield demo, which we did get a chance to play. It is the demo from E3, where you fight Nissa in her gym against the Dynamax Dreadnought. You have the starters Corviknight, Yamper, and Wooloo, and it's the place where we first learned about Impidimp. Anyway, yeah, we played that, and that was really cool. The environment that we played that in, the walls were all kind of posted with. It was like this. In fact, it was like there was a stadium around us, so you really got the feel of being in that area, and there were people around you watching as you played. So that was super cool. And the staff, the staff in that bit were a bit hit and miss. So my demo lady was super friendly, and she was like, "Oh yeah." I asked her if I'm allowed to film, and she was like, "Yeah, film what you want. Just don't spend the whole time filming the demo because we don't want you to do that. But you can film yourself and each other playing the demo and the sort of surroundings. Yeah, that's fine." And we were sort of chatting about the starters and all that. But then the demo person that Dan and Charlotte had was really pushy, and after it she was like trying so hard to sell the pre-order, and I was like, well, I don't want to pre-order it from you. I want to pre-order it from somewhere I would like my locals, if you like. And Dan said, well, I'm not sure which one I want to get yet. And so she was like, oh, just get both. Get both. Yeah, buy both. I think Incineroar's the only Pokemon I haven't played as yet. And then while I was walking out, another person tried to sell me the game, and I was like, oh, I've already had this speech. And he was like, oh, what did you say? Oh, just no. Wow, Incineroar is heavy. So that was our experience. Yeah, again, let me know in the comment section below what you think about the Pokehoarder ethics, and what you thought about this little mini-series. I actually really enjoyed doing the whole vlog thing. I definitely think it improved the experience, and I will absolutely be looking back on this in however long it is until I decide I need to relive the experience. And yeah, if there's something else you want me to do a vlog on, put that in the comments as well. But now is my opportunity, while I finish this battle, to tell you what I'm going to be doing with Sword and Shield. So, I'm kind of a purist. I don't want to record my first playthrough. I want the freedom to play that whenever I like, without having to be pressured into, oh, but I have to be recording, so I can't play it in bed on my Switch Lite. I have a Switch Lite, by the way, the Sword and Shield version. Oh, I have to do a thing there. So what I'm going to do, I am going to play Pokemon Sword, I think, probably Sword, but I'm not sure. I haven't picked which one yet. On my own on my Switch. So as soon as I get it on Friday, I'm going to play a few hours of that, and then Friday evening, so I'll get home about 4 o'clock, I think, maybe a bit later, maybe, oh, probably we'll say 5. 5 o'clock I'll play an hour of Pokemon Sword, and then I'll record and upload straight away episode 1 of my Pokemon Shield Nuzlocke. That's right, I'm going to do a Nuzlocke straight away, and that's the content I'm going to post. Once the Nuzlocke is done, I'll kind of evaluate if I want to record some post-game episodes from my Sword account. We'll see. But that's what you can expect after this very heavy Pokemon week with Pokemon Center vlogs and the end of my Let's Go Pikachu Nuzlocke. I'm going straight into a Pokemon Sword and Shield Nuzlocke, which is so exciting because I've never done a blind Nuzlocke. I don't know where any Pokemon will appear. Obviously I'll have some idea from playing my own bit, but I won't be able to plan for the gyms because they'll be new and they'll be different than the ones I've experienced. And the wild area as well. I might just lose. I might just lose. I might, as soon as I get there, encounter a level 40 mine Tyranitar, and it might just wreck me. So we'll see. We'll see how that goes. That's your next question in the comment section below. Once I've done that, Nuzlocke, what do you think, or what would you like to see me do in terms of post-game Pokemon Sword and Shield content? And if you're really eager to comment, let me know what I should nickname my starter Pokemon. Because in a Nuzlocke, for those of you who aren't aware, you have to nickname all of your Pokemon. So let me know what you want me to nickname my starter Pokemon, which will be randomised. So yeah, thank you everyone for watching. I hope you enjoyed. I certainly did. And I'll see you in the next episode. And I hope you enjoy Pokemon Sword and Shield as well. I'm really excited. I think it's coming out tomorrow when I record this. So excited. Yeah, thank you, and I'll see you next time. Ciao for now.